The men's and women's basketball teams were looking to continue their win streaks as they headed out on the road to South Dakota for 2 games over the weekend.
Plus, the Colorado Rockies were in town, and we got to be there for the press conference with a couple of familiar Grand Junction faces.
We got all that and much, much more coming up on Maverick Postgame. Well, welcome to our pre-Super Bowl edition of Maverick Postgame. As usual, I'm Joe Azar.
And I'm Bryce Reedy.
All right, and after getting their first win streak of the season, the men's basketball team was looking to stay hot as they squared off against 2 conference opponents. The first matchup of the weekend came against the Black Hills State Yellow Jackets, who were coming into the game lower than the Mavericks in the conference standings in the RMAC. However, the Yellow Jackets were not going to let the Mavericks beat them on their home floor, as they held the Mavericks to their second lowest scoring output of the season and won the game 73-61. CMU shot a poor 35% from the field, including going 7 of 28 from the three-point line. Black Hills State, however, shot a superb 47% from the field on the night, led by Frazier Malcolm, who went 5 for 11 to lead the game with 17 points. The Mavericks were led by Connor Nichols, who finished with 13 points.
It wasn't any better for the women's team in Spearfish as they were held to their lowest scoring output of the season and were defeated 64-56 by the Yellow Jackets. Turnovers were killer for CMU as they racked up 20 on the night, which led to 25 points off of turnovers for Black Hills State. Now, Aaron Richley led the way for the Mavericks with 15 points, and for the Yellow Jackets, it was an all-around scoring effort as 10 different players scored in the contest.
And then on Saturday, both teams were looking to bounce back against South Dakota School of Mines, starting with the women's team, and the game went down to the wire as the Mavericks took a 1-point lead with a minute 23 remaining in the game, thanks to a Mata Epenisa layup. With good defense, the Mavericks were able to keep the Hard Rockers from scoring the game-winning layup and take the 59-58 victory on the road. Epenisa led the way for CMU with 20 points on 9 of 12 shooting from the field. Brianna Adams was second on the team, finishing with 14 on the night. The Mavericks improved to 14-5 on the year, and in conference play, they are 11-4.
Much like the women's game, the men's was finished in the final seconds as well, and once again, the hero for the Mavs was Eimer Lopez, who was able to hit a layup with 43 seconds remaining to break the tie and give the Mavericks the 2-point lead. CMU's defense held strong for one final possession to give the Mavericks the road victory 63-60 following a Lopez free throw. CJ Davis led the team with 12 points, including making 2 3-pointers, which broke the CMU record for most 3-point field goals made in a career. Davis has made 156 in his short stint with the Mavericks, overtaking Jeremy Cummings, who had 155 after playing with CMU from 2001 to 2005. With the win, the Mavericks moved to 6-5 on the season and 5-10 in the conference. Both teams will be at home this weekend for one game against Westminster on Saturday. Tip-off is set for 5:30 for the women's and 7:30 for the men's.
Well, in other exciting sports news, the Colorado Rockies came to town last week with some familiar faces to talk with the Grand Junction Rockies season ticket holders. John Gray, David Dahl, both former GJ Rockies players, were the headliners to go along with new manager Bud Black and catcher Tom Murphy. Now, before they talked to the season ticket holders, they held a press conference with the media, and we have some of the main points from that meeting. Let's take a look now.
To come back where my career started. We had a fun team. Tony was a great manager and learned a lot that year. How to become a professional. How to get ready for the grind of a long season for the next year, for the years to come. So, yeah, I was very excited just to be here and kind of interact with the fans and stuff again.
I don't know. It seems bigger than I remember it, but the field and everything. But it is very surreal being back, and this is kind of the beginning to most of our journeys started here. So it's always going to be a special place to us.
Every year brings something different. Obviously there's been some changes here in Colorado, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of this organization. And what's exciting for me are these guys, our players. And you've seen a lot of our players come through here who are now major league players. But, for those of us in uniform, this season I think brings some expectation. But what I like is that I think these guys are ready for those expectations. I think these guys feel it, of what we can become. And that's exciting for me to be a part of this. And for these guys, it should be exciting because they look around, they look at each other, they look in the room and they see other players, some older players, Gonzalez and Blackman and Arenado and LeMahieu, guys who have been Rockies. And these guys can look to those guys and look them, right in the eye and say, hey, I'm right there with you as far as, helping us win. And that's a good thing. And I think these guys are ready for those expectations, not only this year, but, years to come. Because this is a pretty good group of players.
A lot of young guys that's been here with me are up now, and you kind of saw it unravel the last few years. But with these new additions, it's going to be a little different, but it's going to be electric. So much talent. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's cool to see the wall over there in the front office, seeing all the guys that have come through here that are now in the big leagues, and we have some pretty big expectations this year, and we just got to come together as a team and just build every day, and it's gonna be a fun year.
I pitched at Mile High Stadium a couple different times when they were the Denver Bears in AAA way back when. You might remember those days, right?
Yeah.
And then again when the Rockies became a franchise in '93. But I could tell even back then. I mean, this is a great fan base, not only in the Denver area, but how it spreads out. It's a fan that cares about their team and their players. You can see it, in professional football. You see it in basketball. You see it in hockey. The same holds true for baseball. And listen, I travel a little bit. I've been to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I've seen Rocky hats. I've never been to Grand Junction. First time. I've been here 45 minutes. But I can tell that these are good fans, good people, right here in front of me. I've been into Utah, and I've seen Rocky. I saw Rocky hats when I went into Salt Lake City last year when I was working for the Angels. I see Rocky hats in Arizona. I see Rocky hats in New Mexico. I'll see it tomorrow when we go to Albuquerque. But man, these are good fans and good people. That's what I've been impressed with, over the length of my professional career, and getting close to 40 years.
Now, before we end this sportscast, we are once again requesting your help for a fellow Maverick, Ryan Teixeira. Just recently, the CMU baseball team opened up a U-Caring account to support Ryan and his family. If you would like to contribute, you can go to ucaring.com/Ryan Teixeira -742670. All of us here at CMU TV have Ryan in our thoughts, and we are all 17 strong.
Well, before we finish, we also will leave you with this week's Maverick of the Week, and we are going to give it this week to the record breaker himself, C.J. Davis. Davis hit 2 3-pointers against the Hard Rockers, and that's all he needed to make him the Mavericks' all-time leading scorer in three-point shooters made with 156 in his career. Congratulations to him, and we know that his number is sure to go even higher over the next few weeks.
All right, and that's all we have here this week from Maverick Postgame. As always, I am Bryce Reedy. He is Joe Azar. Check back with us next week. Have a good week, CMU.